All right, here. So moving on to my last story of the night, we are going to be covering a viewer-requested topic. And we've had a few recently of viewer-requested topics, and sometimes I'll pull up like a few of them at once and just see what information is the most current. And this one's really current. So have you guys, or you, heard anything about Brianna Ghey?
I don't think so.
From the UK, Manchester area, similar area to a crime that we recently just covered with the male true crime killer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the similar area. So, okay. Who is Brianna Ghey? Brianna Ghey was a 16-year-old transgender female-presenting child. 16, a child. You know what I mean? Like, I understand they're teenagers, but that's still a child, man. And she was horribly and brutally murdered. So, you know, there's a lot of like politicized topics saying it was due to her being trans. I don't necessarily know if that's true after I've done my research. Do I think that could have added to it? Yeah, I think that could have added to it based on some of the things that I've read. But let's just get into it here, okay? So this crime took place in Colchester, and it took place in a park in the area. It was called Linear Park because it is a super long, straight stretch of a park in the Manchester area.
Okay.
This crime took place on January 11th of 2023, so this year. Brianna was, like I said, a transgender female presenting person. She was really active on social media, had over 30,000 followers. So in the Europe area, this is getting a ton of attention. 30,000 followers, that's quite a bit, you know? And she was constantly posting online. Yeah. Well,
that is a lot.
The details around this case are just really awful. So, you know, I guess we'll start with how she was found and kind of go from there. So, you know, unfortunately, in Linear Park, there was a couple walking their dogs that walked up on her and found her face down in the mud and stabbed 28 times.
Oh.
On her head, neck, chest, and back, all upper body, and just a super bloody, gruesome crime scene.
That's sad.
It is sad. Now, 2 children, 15 years old, both of them at the time of the crime, 15 years old, have been arrested for this. Yeah.
I wish I could say I'm surprised, but after a bunch of the child killings that I've seen in the recent years, unfortunately, I'm not surprised.
I know, unfortunately. Now, in this area of the world, they are very strict on names being let out to the media, yeah. Right? And these kids are underage, so they are referred to as Girl X and Boy Y. This case is going on right now. These children have not been charged yet. So
wait, they haven't been charged?
I mean, they haven't been convicted yet.
Oh, okay.
They haven't been sentenced. But I want to go over this case, okay? There's not much to the crime itself. The crime was just really heinous, really bloody, really awful, and it's more about these kids than anything. So what happened after that is these 2 kids were arrested, right? And they're brought to the Manchester Crime Court. Based on everything I've heard, it's a smaller court system, and this court is just jam-packed with people because the media is obsessed with this. She had, 30,000 plus followers, and it's getting a ton of attention, political attention. It's getting attention from literally everywhere. So, who is boy Y and who is girl X? Well, the best information I can give you is these were people close to Brianna. How Brianna ended up getting to the park that day was girl X had asked her to come hang out. I haven't heard anything yet saying that Brianna knew boy Y. But boy Y did know girl X. They knew each other pretty well. They
Makes
had been
sense.
talking for the past few years and talking about some wild stuff. Now, they met Brianna at Linear Park to hang out. According to their story, they hung out with Brianna for a little bit, like 10 minutes or something like that. Then Brianna picks up her phone and says, "Hey, I got to get out of here. I'm meeting a man from Manchester." And they're like, "Wait, what?" And then she's like, "Yep, see ya, bye," and leaves, okay? And these two kids go home. Well, they start texting each other. Girl X says, "Hey, my brother said someone got hurt in Linear Park." Boy Y responds saying, "Oh no, do you know what happened?" And girl X says, "No, I don't." And it's just a lot of that back and forth conversation. What I just said is not exactly what was said, but essentially that's what's being said here.
Yeah,
then
acting like they don't know what happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it shows them finding out, like, "Oh my gosh, someone died there. Someone just got stabbed, like, right next to my house, And then it shows him sending a link, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh, yes, that is Brianna. I did know her. I'm going to have my mom call the police." So her mom, girl X's mom, calls the police and says, "Hey, we just want to let you know that my daughter was with her, the victim that you guys are putting all over the media and the news, before earlier that day." Well, 2.5 hours after that call, girl X and boy Y get arrested.
Oh,
And
wow.
I know.
That's pretty quick, actually.
I know.
I'm kind of surprised by that.
And they're brought into court. Now, I understand that things are called different in
The UK.
In the UK. Yep. I'm going to reference them by what they would be in America, just because if I'm trying to remember that on top of all these details, I'm going to mess something up, okay? So
Yeah.
I'm just going to say the prosecutor, because I think it's the
Magistrate.
Crown Court Magistrate is what it's called over there. But they're prosecuting them, so I'm just going to use that term just for everyone to understand. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
they get brought to court, okay? And when they open up the case, they, and this is day one, they go into, the defense starts talking about these two suspects. And they say that, get this is crazy. So they come into the courtroom and say that both girl X and boy Y have mental health issues, and they're special needs kids. I don't know if there's any validity to that. All I know is what's said and reported from the case. So the initial claim is that boy Y is supposedly diagnosed with autism, okay, and suffers from high levels of social anxiety while limiting his verbal communication skills. Now, girl X was diagnosed and said to have traces of autism. I have no idea what that means, okay? I'm not saying it's not possible. I just have never heard of that. Traces of autism with ADHD and also displaying high levels of social anxiety. Therefore, they've been given the approval not to have to show up in court every time, meaning they're going to be on video sometimes. So are those diagnoses going to play into them being held accountable in this?
The court's decision.
I don't know, but it's interesting.
I think they will be. I don't know how the UK treats, like, because, in the US...
Well, you gotta wait till you hear the rest.
Well, in the US, how, like, when a child murders somebody, a lot of times, like, if it's pretty horrific, like this is, they will treat them as adults. They will be, charged as adults, go to adult prison and all of that.
Yep.
So I'm curious if this is found to be true that they have disabilities, which at this point, I'm like, I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah.
Will they not be treated like adults at all? Will they be treated like little kids?
I don't know. They're 16. I didn't go into all those details, so I'm not 100% sure. But so, the defense gives a little bit, essentially what the defense would be gives a little bit of their background and those issues that they're working with. Now, what their version of the prosecutor is, the magistrate goes into opening their statement of what's going on here, okay? And she gives the whole rundown, and, Saturday around 3 p.m., February 11th, 2023, a couple walking their dog found Brianna bloodied and face down in the mud in Linear Park in Colchester, Cheshire, with 28 stab wounds. As this couple walked, talking amongst themselves, they saw a man and woman ahead, okay? So a ways ahead of them. And the man bent down, almost looking like he was tending to a dog. And this is a very notorious dog walking park because it's long and linear.
Makes sense.
They then quickly walk away and exit towards, like, they're exiting the park. Once they got to the tree line, they started jogging. So, like, they were trying to make it not seem like they were walking fast away, but as they got further away, they started jogging, okay? Once they got closer, they realized it wasn't a dog that he was bending over tending to, that it was a person. So this couple saw two people, saw them.
Okay.
Now, they realized this person was not moving and appeared to be dead, which they reached out to authorities at that time, and it looks like the damage was awful. I mean, it says that one of the stab wounds severed two large veins so deep that it was causing damage to the bone. So some aggression, strength behind it, and all of that. No. So the prosecutors or magistrates continue to say that these two talked and planned for weeks ahead of the crime about killing her. And this is the part I was saying that we need to listen to. Because at first I looked over the evidence, okay, when I first started reading on this, and I was like, wait, that doesn't sound like 100% for sure. Then I heard about these, okay? So.
Okay. It kind of reminds me of...
Remember, this is the prosecution side, so...
It kind of reminds me of Mary Collins a little bit. Like, Friends and, like, somebody who's, like, kind of having trouble, like, fitting in and everything.
Yep. Well, the prosecutor says that these two have been talking for weeks ahead of this crime about ending her. So both boy Y and girl X have since turned on each other now in court, saying the other did the stabbing. And I just want to give a comment that clearly neither of them are very smart criminals. Otherwise, they would know that blaming the other confirms they were there.
Right, you just
confirmed you were present.
Yeah.
When if both of you didn't say anything, they would have to prove you were present.
Right. Yeah, you just confirm you were there and part of the crime.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that blaming somebody else is you pointing a finger at yourself, dude.
It absolutely is.
Unless you called the police on them.
But they're kids. Like,
I
what
hear
do you expect,
you, but I guess I should do more research into how they manage kids with lawyers and legal and everything. I don't know. But I read that and I was like, ooh.
It takes a lot more than with adults. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Because they have to be able to understand, get a gist of what's going on there. Mm-hmm. Especially if they're being treated as adults.
Yep.
Like, It's a lot more.
In response to that, the Crown said that it doesn't matter. They don't care who stabbed. Because of the evidence they found, they planned and executed their plan together. So they don't care that one of them did the stabbing or not. They're going after both of them the same. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they both were talking about it and had premeditated knowledge of this, that it should go that way. Mm-hmm. So, Girl X and Boy Y have known each other for about 4 years and talked about normal things like love interest and friends and things like that. And they also have evidence that they've been talking about how they want to kill people that they knew. Like multiple people, okay?
That's kind of scary. Were they going to go on to be like a serial killer duo?
I think they were. I really do, based off what I have
That's
here.
Super scary.
They even talked about an exact way to end someone in the same exact way Brianna was ended, okay? It's like she was implanted into that plan, you know?
Right.
Here's Girl X even went so far to say in quotes in text, if I do end up killing M, I have a really sharp blade like the one Sweeney Todd uses. And if we do kill M, can I keep some things like a couple teeth and an eye?
Oh my
I don't know how I would cut an eye out or the teeth out. I guess we would have to torture before killing. Yeah.
What?
That's what I'm saying. Like, after I read this, there's no maybes. I haven't seen this evidence. I'm not there, obviously. This is just the documented opening statement of the Crown, right? Giving the story of these two. But if this is text message evidence, like, good luck, kids. You know?
Right,
Jeez.
right. Like, this is pretty horrific.
This isn't normal teenage communication of being, like, angry at your parents in life. That's weird.
Well,
wanting to save an eye and teeth?
Yeah, I mean, they're wanting to kill somebody and save body parts. Yeah, there's, like, nothing weirder than that.
She then searched serial killer urges and talked about how she has hallucinated having this person's blood all over her and hearing these screams and this guy choking on blood and seeing herself smiling and holding a blade.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Eerie.
On December 5th of 2022... Girl X sent Boy Y a link for a torture film. A black site and the dark web... Oh, she says, for a black site and the dark web... Oh, no, I'm sorry. She sent him a link for, like, a black site,
like
torture
a
web, snuff-type film. Yes. And then follows that link up and says... I love watching torture bits, real ones on the dark web. I've loved it for a while, and I'm really happy I found a good red room. Boy Y, on his own, searches poisons to use and the effect of nerve agents. So these kids were like... two sociopaths, complete sociopaths that found each other. I mean,
they were like going fully in, like head first in.
Agreed. So X also told Y recently she developed an obsession of a trans girl named Brianna. She said she found her fascinating, saying, I'm obsessed with this person I know, not attracted to, but fascinated. And she also has a D, lol. He responds, is it a femboy or a... I'm not going to say this word because it's offensive to some, okay? The T word, right?
Yeah.
TRAN, you know what I mean? A month later, X says the fascination has now turned darker. X says she tried to kill her once already.
Wait.
And tried to give her an overdose of pain meds on January 18th. Girl X sent Y a picture of a bloody tissue and scissors and says that she's going to eat human flesh.
Oh.
Right.
Oh.
Now, 5 days after that, she sends a picture of red tablets, unknown, saying she gave these to Brianna, but she threw them up and didn't die. This is now a second attempt. Yeah. So Brianna's mother confirms that she remembers around this time Brianna being really sick. And Brianna literally saying to her mom that, I feel like I'm dying. And she was sick for multiple days. So they don't know what this was. But it feels like there were multiple attempts on her life. So X says to Y that she has killed 2 people, but it says in here there's no evidence of that. So she could have just been making it up and, acting big or whatever and bragging.
It's so cool to kill people.
Yeah, and Y, the boy responds, how fun. Now, over the next few days, these two talk in depth about killing 4 people, including one being an adolescent child.
Oh my goodness.
And then state Brianna is the backup plan. So on January 26, 2023, the following conversation proceeds. So Y suggests to kill this person E, okay, because he's the easiest. X suggests they build a noose to make it seem like a self-ending. Y replies, nah, just stab him, slit his throat, and stab his back. X asks, could I stab him? And Y says, sure. I know a hidden spot nobody goes to in Linear Park. You manage to get him there, and we'll meet at the post in Linear. And be like, let's sit and chill for a while, and then you will restrain him while I slit his throat and help. Yeah. Y says, if we can't kill the boy, then Brianna will be the backup, and X agrees. X responds to that saying, yeah, it will be easier anyways. I want to see if it, calls Brianna an it,
Ugh.
I want to see if it will scream like a man or a girl.
Oh my God, this is horrible.
I agree. It is so disgusting. It is so horrible. That is this a one-off, or is this area having issues with, trans hate?
So I mean, I don't know what the truth is, but I have heard from several political commentators online that the UK has an issue with trans hate, like a pretty bad one. But I don't know. I don't live there. I would be curious to see people who live there discuss that.
No, and that's why I'm discussing it. I want input.
Yeah.
I want to understand these things because this is awful.
We're in America. Like, we're on the outside looking in, and, like, it's not always the truest, most accurate picture. If you live there, you're going to understand, the political climates, the culture, the belief systems better than somebody from another country is going to.
Yeah.
So I don't know for sure, but I have heard that there's a severe issue. Like, we covered actually a girl who passed away who was trans, who was living there, I think back a long time ago. Or I was looking into it. I don't know if I actually covered it. But it was also an issue within the UK where they weren't giving it the attention it needed or something like that.
Yeah, it's wild. So I don't know, reading this, if I feel like it's a hate crime. I don't know if she was targeted because she was trans. I don't know, or if that's just what got the guy interested and maybe he hates trans people. I don't know. I don't know. There's not enough information that I could find confirming that. One thing I do know is that regardless if hate's involved, I find this absolutely disgusting because, whether it's a trans person, whether it is a born female, whether it is a born male, whether it is none of that, in my opinion, if you're a human, you deserve to live a free, open life, not having to deal with hate, not having to deal with worrying about having to go to a public park and being stabbed 28 times. There is something seriously wrong here. And it honestly feels like it really sucks Brianna had this happen to her, but it sounds like somebody was going to have it happen to her.
No.
Or, I mean, somebody was going to have this happen to them because they were on a path of no return.
So I think multiple things can be true at once. Okay, I think that you're right that clearly this was going to happen to somebody no matter what, but also they may have chose specifically Brianna because of being trans too. Like, I think both of those can be right.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be one or the other. It could have been anybody, but she was there and convenient and also trans, and they could have chose her because of that.
Yeah. It's clearly she was substituted into the plan for this other person. So
yeah.
I'm curious why, one of our viewers specifically wanted us to look into this. Is there something more to it I'm missing? Or did they just want to be able to get this information out so people could have awareness to it, because this is a child. These are all children. And the way I see it is 3 children lost their lives. Now, look, if these messages are real, these kids cannot be out in the street, okay? They have to be locked up. There's no way around that. They need professional help. So It's not like this is a misunderstood child crime. These are sociopathic kids in the making if this is real. These are major problems to society here. And they were hunting people is what was essentially going on. Planning to hunt these people that were on their 5-person list. I just send positive thoughts to her parents, man. I saw a whole bunch of pictures while I was looking this up. It looks absolutely horrible, and she was just like dressed in some teenage-looking outfit going to the park. There's a video of her last moments getting on the bus and everything, and it's really crappy. The situation's really crappy, so
it is really crappy. It's kind of scary that I feel like parents nowadays have to teach their children to not even trust like friends or peers. Like, if you have somebody wanting to meet you all alone, like, maybe it's not a great idea, even if they're your friend. And you've known them for a long time, or you're becoming friends with them. Like, maybe it's not the greatest idea to meet them alone.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But because there's been many cases, and I think the trans element, it adds a whole nother element to this case. But I think you're totally right. I think they were going to do this no matter what. They were almost like curious what it would be like and fantasizing about it and planning like all these little things, and it's sickening. Like, I wonder what caused this in them.
I just can't believe a 15-year-old had a Tor browser, an Onion browser, and was looking on the dark web at red rooms. Like,
that's wild. What? So do you think the internet caused these issues, or do you think home life caused these issues?
No. I am a firm believer the internet doesn't cause issues like this. I don't believe that.
So you don't think like a relatively normal kid couldn't get an Onion browser or Tor or whatever, get on, red rooms and start fantasizing about murdering somebody?
I've been relatively good on a computer almost my whole life. I've had a computer as long as they've been out. I've seen all kinds of gross stuff. I used to look at rotten.com, and I was always sick to my stomach. So no, I don't think just because it's there, it's going to create some weird sociopathic desire. No, it grossed me out always.
Yeah, no, I definitely got on rotten.com as a kid too. I know what you're talking about.
So I don't think so.
Yeah, it never made me fantasize about murder, that's for sure. It made me really grossed out.
Yeah, I'm curious what you guys think. Is there something on a computer or technology that you believe could cause this? I don't believe that. I don't see technology as bad. I see it as a good thing, and humans in general hate growing pains. We all do. We don't like change. None of us do. And
true.
New technology and continued technology and more time on screens, those are changes that are making people worried that they see their kids doing that they never did as their kids' ages. And I understand that worry, but there's no turning back. There is only forward. So we got to figure out how to do it. And I don't think there is anything out there that creates things like this, because before any of these, we had some of the worst serial ender times ever in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
There was no screens.
Yeah.
So I just don't see
there's
it.
like black and white TV, but that's about it.
Yeah. But I'd love to know what you guys think about it. Our thoughts go out to Brianna's family and Brianna Ghey's family. Her last name's spelt really weird. It throws me off. It's Ghey. It's pronounced Ghey. So Brianna Ghey's family, and hope they get through this okay. And we just hope that justice is brought to the people that are to blame for this.
Yeah, justice, accountability, and I hope that, some intense mental... I feel like, especially in situations like this, like, they need mental health help, obviously, but also it's instructive for, like, the future. Like, in my mind, like, when you see a kid go down a path this wrong, and, like, multiple kids at that, like, what caused it? What was the catalyst for them even taking a fantasy and, like, enacting it? And, there's just many things I think that can be learned, and it's really unfortunate that Brianna lost her life, and it's really, really sad, and, deepest condolences to her family. But hopefully, when something this horrible happens, hopefully there can be something positive gained out of it, so their death isn't in vain. And I think learning about how, like, this happens to a kid, like how they go down that path, where it starts, is, like, really important to learn. So hopefully it can be prevented in the future. And also, like, protecting your kids against other kids that could do something like this.
Yeah, but let us know what you guys think.